What's up YouTube? Lambdaman here and welcome to a new game and a new type of series. Tonight we're going to be playing a game called the Raintime, and it is a story-driven game that allows you to make some choices. Yeah. Hit like and subscribe. I'll wait. Jeff, yeah, you over there in the back. Hit the button. It's not hard. Okay, let's start. Beautiful music. Beautiful. Okay. There we go. Now we can begin. The Raintime is a visual novel-style video game. As you progress through the game, you will at times be prompted to make decisions. Please choose freely. There are no wrong choices. Good to know. Instructions. Space to move forward. Escape to access the game menu. Alt plus Enter to enter full screen. Recommended. Visit soka.org for walkthroughs, updates, and the news about the Raintime. Okay. The manuscript for this game was delivered to my doorstep in the spring of 2019 by William Hoffman, a distant friend of mine who I attended college with. Okay. In order to protect their identities, the names of all persons mentioned have been changed. 3 days after his unannounced visit, William's lifeless body was discovered in his room. So people are already getting bodied. We're like 30 seconds into the game. The Raintime. Beautiful music. It's a bunch of shapes. It's pretty cool art, though. Got a phone buzz? Piles of books, clearly unread, are stacked up against the cheap plywood bed. The floor is littered with pencils, torn beer, coasters, clothes, and an empty cognac bottle, and a cell phone that vibrates with a sonorous hum. 28 times the small device rings, but it doesn't wake up the sleeping student. Sounds like me. He remains unconscious until late in the afternoon, also sounds like me, when this humming has long since subsided. Then I stir, mutter something beneath my breath, and feel the floor beside the bed without finding anything. And I remain motionless for a while longer, holding onto the lazy embrace of the warm bed sheets until I finally muster the strength to get up. Again, sounds like me. Dizzying from the sudden effort, one arm resting on my desk, I cast a glance on my scratched-up phone screen. One missed call. 6:28. A food binge at 4 in the morning has left me feeling bloated, but I should go to the store, if only because it closes at 7. I pick up my phone again, one missed call from Lars. I call him back. Wilhelm, verdammter Mistkerl, a voice shouts in a ridiculous mock German. Lars, I say, you okay? Sure am. You're coming tonight. We start at 9. I might be a little later. See you there. Wunderschön. Schuss. Some action music. End of conversation. First conversation of the day. Could be worse. On my way to the door, I cast a look in the mirror from so close that my features appear all distorted. The sheets have left red markings on my right cheek. I strike myself in the face until they fade away. Is that how you get rid of those? Part 1. Idyll. There's an afterthought of rain in the air. I cross the street and dive into a residential area, swiftly navigating the concrete labyrinth of post-war housing developments that make up Rybury. And as I pass through the houses, and the cars, and the gardens of looming evergreens, I gradually become aware of a weak sense of disappointment lingering deep within my guts. It's a solitary feeling, a subtle sadness, and though it's the first time I pay it any notice, I can't seem to trace its origin, no matter how far I think back. When I arrive at E-Mart, a security guard signals that the store is closing. Catching my breath, I watch silently as the last cars leave the adjacent parking lot. I take off my jacket. It's unnaturally warm for a December evening. Usually it is here. Oh, hey. In a corner of the room, two young guys are playing around on an electronic arcade machine. The diner here is not much more than an outfitted gas station, its walls adorned with faded advertisement for unidentifiable cuts of meat. I order a burger, and my attention drifts towards the boys at the machine who are playing with a stern determination, completely absorbed by their game. This honestly sounds a lot like me. I take a step sideways so that I can glance over their shoulders. Suddenly, the guy on the left falters. "Shit," I hear him swear under his breath. He steps away from the machine, slamming it and passing. "You should have taken out the big dude," the other guy comments, shaking his head. He takes a coin from his pocket and resumes playing. They're silent, both of them, with poses betraying immense dedication, as if their very survival depends on the outcome of that single game. I receive my hamburger, and when I bite into the bun, the different sauces drip down onto my napkin, soaking it throughout. How much sauce is on that burger? Can I see like a picture of this burger? And as I'm sitting there, making a mess of myself, I can't suppress the growing suspicion that the owner must be looking at me. But I turn around to see that he's no longer standing behind his counter, though the two guys are still there, in their corner, just as transfixed by the machine as when I first came in. They're very normal, uneducated country boys. Hey, you know what? Here in the South, we may be uneducated. We're not that uneducated. We're really not. These days, Rybury is mostly a commuter town, though there's still a small agrarian community that works the surrounding farms. I smile. These kids usually start working right out of high school, as there's not much else for them to do. And when the work is done, they end up here, throwing away their hard-earned cash at stupid arcade games. What's wrong with arcade games? A blob of sauce drips down my arm. Dude, how much sauce? Like, you got too much sauce. Yeah. Okay. Look at them. Would they have girlfriends by now? Probably not. We don't meet that many girls here in the South. Okay, that's a lie. They probably would. I let out an inaudible chuckle. "What are you grinning at?" a coarse voice calls out. I jump. One of the guys has approached my table and is staring at me with an indecipherable expression on his face. He looks like Tom Holland with a tomato nose. Like, look at that thing. Did Bob the Tomato come and replace your nose? Like, what the... "Excuse me?" I reply, as I put down the remains of my meal before attempting in vain to wipe my hands with the soaking wet napkin. It's with the napkin. "What's your problem?" he continues. "I saw you laughing. Do we amuse you?" "No," I reply quickly. "I was laughing at something else. Why would I laugh at you guys?" He's standing right in front of me, staring me down with narrowed eyes. I'm starting to get scared, guys. Not gonna lie. His crew cut and pale, acne-scarred face evoke a militaristic severity. "Answer me. What were you laughing at?" I'm dumbstruck by his persistence. He really isn't backing down. I start. He parrots at me. "Come on, boy, with your hamburger." Hamburger. He utters those last syllables in a menacing staccato. I was thinking about a friend of mine, I answer, somewhat dismissively. It was just a joke. Tell me the joke, he replies instantly. Oh, come on. It was an inside joke, I add. You wouldn't get it anyway. I wouldn't get it, he sneers. You think I wouldn't get it? I get more than you think. Now let's hear what you pretty boys like you laugh about. My mind's racing to come up with something inoffensive to feed him, and he's just staring at me patiently. Bullying strangers must be the only entertainment he has in his sad, pathetic life. Damn. My character's an asshole. Well, I start, if you really want to know, last week I was out with that friend in a bar, a tacky place, loud music, stupid people, sweaty DJ. Yes, and? He interrupts me. Well, we were bored, so I persuaded him to go over to the DJ and request something by Diepenbrock. The fuck is Diepenbrock? Oh, I pause for a moment, awaiting his reaction, but he appears to have quieted down at last. Okay, I skipped something. Well, the DJ apparently had never heard of Diepenbrock, probably thought it was one of those obscure Austrian EDM producers. So he starts browsing through his records looking for something by Diepenbrock. Haha, can you imagine? Now, after a while... Corey! A loud voice interrupts me. Try to be mindful of our real customers. It's the owner, who has silently returned to his counter and is overlooking the scene with a grin on his face. Corey shrugs and strolls back to his friend. They continue their game. And I remain, growing rapidly aware of the sickening scent of the cold hamburger in front of me. What is the deal with this hamburger? You'd think it's like his lifeline to the world, like the greasy mince in the The greasy mince and the coagulating acid sauces have begun interacting and producing an almost fecal odor that penetrates deep into my nostrils. But this is nonsense. Abruptly, I pick up the burger and walk to the door, where I throw the disgusting half-eaten bun into the garbage can. I step outside and cast a last glance over my shoulder into the dark, grimy diner, just to see the owner laughing at me heartily. And I try, with all my might, to look as angry as possible. What am I playing right now? Where the pavement ends and only cars go further, a long wall of foliage has been erected to shield against the noise of the N723. Below it runs a narrow underpass which leads to a traffic island on the motorway. Cars flash by. I've just missed the bus to Bremersburg. It's no use waiting here. They only come once every hour. I decide to walk to town. How far is it? Carefully, I make my way along the narrow strip of gravel that separates the N723 from the fields beyond. The sun hasn't set, but there's a threatening field of cumulus clouds hanging in the sky, turning the motorway pitch black. This year it hasn't snowed yet, and it won't be snowing anytime soon. You never know that. We had a year in December where it went from about 75-80 degrees to snowing over the course of 3 days. You never know what weather's going to do. 4 years ago was the last time we had it real cold down here. I feel that since then the winters have been mild and rainy. A little further down the road, a traffic light turns to red, and the line of cars gradually slows down. Beside me, a light blue sedan has come to a halt, its engine running. Oh, I don't like that. I can make out a woman behind the wheel with dark brown hair and youthful features. She looks my way for a second. Her image, contrasted by the lights outside, speaks a distant kindness, as though it's as if she's staring right past me. I turn around, but see nothing there. The lights change to green, and she returns her attitude to the road ahead. One by one, the cars are set in motion until she follows suit. And as she accelerates, she glances in my direction one last time before merging into the bright red procession that marks the N723. Can't you just say the highway, not the N723? Oh, pfft. After walking for about half an hour, a flash lights up the sky. Lightning, yes, I figured that out. I cower, crawling up against the foliage as I try to calm myself. I feel the first raindrops coming down. I won't make it to the city before the storm breaks loose. If it started raining, that would be true. I leave the motorway, hurrying past dark fields where winter crops grow until I reach Old Hopetown. I enter the tabernacle. You have a tabernacle? The older woman sitting at a table, dark hair, blue jacket, reading a book. The barman's talking to a regular. I order a beer and pick up a seat at one of the windows at a safe distance from the other guests. See, he's practicing that social distancing. Good job, dude. The walls here are covered with aerial photographs of farms. Probably farms in the vicinity, as I recognize parts of the N723 in one or two of them. The barman brings me a beer, and while I take a first sip, I notice a pile of tabloid newspapers lying on the table. I open up the Evening Mirror. That sounds pretty sketchy. 1848. That's just great. A large text ad cries at me. A little further down the page, there's a feature piece about a litter of kittens who's barely escaped a gruesome death. I drink some more beer, reading the gutter journalism and listening in on the mind-numbing conversation at the bar. And as I'm sitting there with those aerial photos on the wall and the newspapers in front of me, I'm suddenly overwhelmed by a powerful sensation, as if my field of perception, which is usually so limited in range, has suddenly expanded greatly. I see people in distant cities, in remote village inns. I can feel their breath, picture their faces, hear them mutter softly to themselves. And my mind drifts towards the boys in the diner, who are still going strong on their arcade machine. As I picture them, my initial anger towards the two slowly gives way to a kind of admiration. It shows discipline, in a sense, to play the same game, night and after night, in that murky little restaurant of theirs. They must be experts by now. And those are my fellow countrymen, and my peers, standing there. In the meantime, the curly-haired woman has put away her book and is now staring silently out the window. She's stroking her left forearm with her hand, tenderly, as though it were wounded. She broke her arm. Then a vibration against my outer thigh. I pick up the phone. William, where are you? I can barely make out Lars' voice shouting over a barrage of background noise. I'm sheltering from the rain, I reply. In Hopetown. I told you I'd be late. Speak up. I can't hear you. We're moving on to Proteus in a minute. What time will you be here? I don't know, I reply as loud as I can. Depends on when it dries up. I'll call you when I'm in town. It's dry now, old cobbler. We'll be seeing you in a second. Mach schnell. Lars hangs up. And as I put away my phone, I notice the little inn is suddenly wrapped in complete silence, probably because you just yelled in the middle of the restaurant. The barman and the guests, who've apparently followed my conversation closely, are all looking in my direction. It's almost like I know. I smile at them awkwardly and move to pick up the newspaper, but I hesitate. Matters like these are precarious. I'm an outsider, after all. Making a loud phone call in here? I down my beer and step outside. It has indeed stopped raining. Okay. Good to know. No more cold rain for me. Oh my gosh, that's bright. When the reclamation of the artificial island had finally been completed, the government decided that a sprawling modern city was to arise on its soil. Is this still me, like, inner monologuing? To avoid repeating the failures of the major urban planning initiatives of the time, which had rapidly degenerated into characterless atrocities without social or aesthetic value. What the... oh. They appointed 12 city architects to each design a distinct part of town. That way each subdivision, the harbor, the university quarter, the city center, and the numerous residential areas surrounding them, was developed and completed in strict isolation from each other. Bremersburg became a testing ground for modernist architecture in a frantic attempt to override all existing conventions. The architects designed for fantastic buildings in every geometric form possible. A metropolis emerged that was like no other, with towers, balconies, false facades, and columns scattered as far as the eye could see. This is not my inner monologue, there's no way. Although for a pedestrian, the chaotic whole is still somewhat navigable. The cars get lost in the labyrinthian network of streets, in which only the broad inner ring provides any sense of direction. It's especially in the summer when Bremersburg is at its saddest, when the bright sun reveals an all its glory, how eerily the city comes together. It's in these months that forever lost traffic is at its busiest, causing honking and roaring of the motorists to melt together into a disquieting groan. In winter, however, when the night falls early, the city truly comes into its own. As the corners and dead ends flood with shadows, its architectural peculiarities are obscured, merging the colors and textures of the different buildings, which are normally so contrasting, together into a homogeneous whole with a visual complexity that's surreal to behold. During heavy rainfall, when the extensive drainage system is rendered incapable of disposing all of the water, streets turn into rivers, stairs into waterfalls, and basements into deep, dark pools. And the gutters and the drain pipes bring forth gurgling sounds, mysterious tones that resound throughout the streets in an unfolding dissonance of gradually dissipating rainwater. Okay, so I guess this is like the history of the town. This is a guess. I don't know for sure. The lake lies dark in front of me. Fresh winds are rapidly pushing away the rain clouds, revealing yellow evening sky. This sounds like me. A long breakwater has been built around the harbor of Bremersburg, extending far into the water. There was a piece of the Evening Mirror about a drunkard who'd fallen off it a few weeks ago. He was saved in the end by a homeless guy. Good for you, homeless guy. I scratch my hair, which is almost dry now. A tension is building in my loins that gradually pushes me away from the lake. A tension is building in my loins. What? Who says that? I could use this time more productively to prepare for a lecture or something like that. I chuckle. The music in Proteus is playing deafeningly loud. That's pretty loud. I look around for a moment, without recognizing anyone, and push past the bar towards the rear of the building where some lonely men are standing against the wall. Lars pounces me immediately. Whoa. Some nice hair you got there. William, it's about time, he shouts, trying to make himself heard over the noise. What were you thinking, walking all this way? I'm fine, I reply. You guys need beers? Lars gestures that he can't hear me, but I notice Bernard raising his half-empty glass and producing an affirmative cough. You can cough affirmatively? The bar is crowded with dark figures, men in their 30s, unshaven, some in baseball caps pulled far over their eyes. They're all drinking beer, silently, as the music's too loud for conversation. William can afford to buy us beers, even though he spends all his money on overdue fees, Matt shouts cheerfully as I return with 4 glasses. Mine's fine. Got up to 38 fucking 50. I call back. What did you get fined for? Okay. Have you seen those cars those librarians drive nowadays? Lars adds dryly. But on a serious note, we need to give this guy a new voice. What do we give him? But on a serious note, Matt starts, you could probably rent a better place if it weren't for all that money you owe the library. I mean, something closer by so you wouldn't have to walk. Listen, Matt, Lars interjects, you know the first thing about the student housing situation right here. Your daddy set you up with a penthouse apartment, remember? That disqualifies your views on real estate. Now, William here is a man of the people, he continues. He rents in Rybury because that's where the masses dwell. We aren't all equally privileged. Shut up, Lars. I reply, you're going off again. I drink some beer to calm my throat, which has become hoarse from all the shouting. Matt started dancing one of his goofy dances, then I see him point towards his chest. I've got the t-shirt, he calls towards Bernard, who frowns and looks the other way. Oh boy. After a few minutes, Evelyn joins us, pretty drunk and well. Been waiting long? She calls out. No, not. Lars starts, but she cuts him off. Who's buying the next round? No, Lars interjects. We're leaving right now. Don't you dare order anything. So she just got there and you're just going to be like, no, we're leaving now. Where are you going anyway? You look tired, Evelyn comments as we're now on our way to the Otter. Is the Otter another club? What? Okay. Tired? I reply. Me? I shouldn't be. I just got out of bed. She smiles in disbelief. Never mind, I pause, not knowing what to say. You know, Proteus is a hellhole. Oh yeah, it's filled with losers during the week, but it's okay on Saturday nights, you know, for picking up drunk desk jockeys. Not sure how I feel about that. Picking up picking up drunk desk jockeys, I inquire? You do that a lot? Oh no, not at all. But you get the idea. She casts me a teasing glance. Still, it's a lot more fun on weekends. Try it. I don't think I will. Mm-mm. Evelyn's more schoolteacher than seductress. She embodies a type of homely kindliness with her round cheeks and matronizing tone of voice, to the extent that I often feel like a small child in her presence. It started raining again. By the time the 5 of us reached the otter, water's pouring down from the skies. Okay. It's quiet inside. Students are lounging around on the sofas, and a couple of old people are talking at the bar. I head for the restrooms. After carefully confirming I'm alone, I take a look in the mirror. My face appears exceptionally pale and skinny. I've been sleeping 11 hours a day. You end up skipping meals that way. There's always a heavy feeling in my stomach as if I can't bear any solid foods. Okay, not quite that for me. I dry off my washed out face with a piece of toilet paper and gently knock some color into my cheeks. On my return, there's a glass of beer waiting for me. Now the issue with you, Lars, Bernard exclaimed loudly, is that you have some Oriental blood in you. That's why you can't discuss these topics in a rational manner. Matt laughs out loud. Bullshit, Lars replies. You know that's nonsense. I don't see how that's even relevant to the discussion. Oh, I'm sure you do, Bernard calls out with a sneer voice. You're missing my point, Lars continues. If a notorious apologist like Vasseur writes that 3,000 people were massacred, you can definitely question his numbers. Lars is using an overly grave demeanor that he always puts on when he's trying to win his historical debates. It's annoying, but so is Bernard, so they cancel each other out. No, that means double annoying. Come on, how many people are you going to shoot down with an M95? Bernard coughs loudly, sending a cascading echo through the bar. They were on that island for 2 months. Tops. 3 months, Lars corrects him. Remember Bobby Jar? 30,000 dead in only 2 days. I really don't see the point you're trying to make. Bobby Jar? Why would you even bring that up? I'm about to interject, but I changed my mind. Look, I think a death toll of $3,000 is on the conservative side, Bernard continues soothingly. But you're clearly exaggerating. You people always want to blame us for everything. Uh-oh, hold on. Good, okay. You people, Lars exclaims. Bernard, what are you implying? I told you, I'm not Oriental. Oh. As a German lit major, I don't really excel in trivial knowledge, let alone history. But that's okay. I know other things. My analytical skills are a lot better developed than theirs, and there's that strange contentment I get from fathoming an old, forgotten piece of literature, a sensation that goes far beyond the world of dry facts. I need some water. Hold on, we're just... water break. Okay. It's something personal, not suitable for pub talk. Evelyn returns from somewhere. I finish my beer. William, you look pale. You should go outside more, Evelyn calls in my direction. I'm trying to think of a witty comeback, but I'm tired, and Matt beats me to it. I forgot what voice I gave him. What you mean, go outside more? He's walked all the way from Rybury. From Rybury? Evelyn gasps in surprise. Let's move to the sofas, I reply, weary of their morose banter. New guests arrive and shake out their coats. The barman pours drinks. Voices reverberate. It's warm. Someone hands me another beer. It's growing increasingly more difficult to follow the conversation. Okay, so you're getting drunk. After a while, we're sitting at the wooden table that stands against the back of the room. The chair I'm sitting in is upholstered with a lovely green velvet that glides softly through my fingers like damp moss. Ew. Electronics win instruments. But that's not true innovation. The electronics just add without changing the fundamental structure of the music. If a rock band uses a violin or keyboard, it's nice as something extra, but it doesn't threaten the holy trinity of guitar, drum, and bass. Just imagine, there are millions of bands. Every conceivable song has been written before. Every pop song, Bernard interjects, but they ignore him. That's so stupid. I can hear from the way you're talking that you don't even have a basic comprehension of music theory. Do you even know what frequency is? I focus my attention towards a large try-hard Art Nouveau posters hanging above the bar. By the way, I saw you had the t-shirt. That's great. By the way, I saw you had a t-shirt. That's great, Evelyn calls out to Matt, who's disinterestedly tearing up a beer coaster. A smile appears on his face. That's right, I've got the t-shirt. Can't wait till January. I scratch my chair a little more. The faces around me are a blur. I doze off for a moment. You should drink something, a voice called out to me. Who is it? Oh, it's Lars. I sit up. It's Lars. He's placed a new beer next to my half-full glass. Sure thing, I reply quietly as I sip and taste. Okay, if you just passed out from drinking, do not drink more alcohol. That's your body telling you to stop. Time passes. Voices grow silent. Evelyn leaves as she's got work the next morning. The older people have also disappeared. And someone, somewhere, starts speaking. Ooh, the moon. For months on end, the workmen were drawn from their homes and families. Oh, we're back into this. To work on the earthen embankment that would protect the polder against the water. At night, they were packed tightly together in their makeshift barracks. Even the slightest breeze would set the cold, dark water of the lake, beating up against the wooden walls. And the only thing that kept them warm was the thick layer of mud that was caked to their bodies, like a protective shell. They set to work with iron willpower every day under conditions that bordered slavery, a task that seemed as endless as the waters of the artificial lake. But a superhuman ethos lived among them, a steely resolve that kept the men united, as if their minds were riveted together and they no longer cared for matters of every day. A brackish, muddy culture arose among the workmen of the lake. They told each other that their stories after work, although none of them were ever put to paper. There we go. At first, the reclaimed seabed was bare and inhospitable, too soft to even set foot upon. But soon, dramatic changes began to take place amongst the waterlogged marshes. Crops started to sprout and rooted effortlessly in the muddy soil, where they fought each other for survival. Move, move, the elderberry hissed to the knotweed. This is my spot, my spot. The knotweed, however, bowed for no one, and stealthily crept up to the elderberry. Don't fear, he whispered back. You'll root here, untamed elderberry. You don't need all that space, do you? The elderberry felt violated, but tried not to let it show. She rose out so high above the other plants, what could really hurt her? Yet she wasn't at ease with the knotweed curled up so close around her feet. That vulgar, seedy shrub. What had it all devolved into? And while the plants competed amongst each other, the workmen tried to reintegrate into mainland society, but the dry world wouldn't take them back, with their dreamy gazes and stoic attitude to life. Some of the men eventually found work on the large oil rigs in the sea. There they created a life that felt somewhat familiar, where the days were long and the sea would beat up against the platform in the same stable rhythm that they had been accustomed to. But in the end, the greasy sensation of oil on their hands never came close to the safe, dry mud that had encapsulated them during the long nights on the lake. Other men became drunkards, got incarcerated, or ended up taking their own lives. Their vain search for an existence of total surrender, as they had grown accustomed to on the lake, completely destroyed them. They were rendered indebted to a path, an immaterial battle against forces of nature that had existed only for a very short period of time. And the polder, that unsightly, artificial island cast out of bed of a murdered sea, kept changing. After plants had sprouted all around, the first generations of insects emerged. They bred effortlessly in the swampy pools of mud. At first there were thousands, then hundreds of thousands, then millions. They multiplied faster than good for them and fell like rain from the sky. Dead flies lay scattered all around, and the brave pioneer who dared send his automobile over the narrow, unhardened roads had to rely solely on his windshield wipers to retain even a trace of visibility. The first inhabitants of the polder, a completely different kind of people than the men who built it, were terrified by the sight of them. On the hottest summer days, the flies flew into the houses, in and out, day and night, drowning in beer glasses and pounding themselves to death against the window panes. School children swept the corpses together in the windowsills to hold morbid snowball fights out in the yard. What the fuck? Okay. And there was always that maddening sound, that noise, that after getting out of bed in the morning, started with a dozen flies pounding against the glass, and upon arrival in the kitchen had already swollen into a huge, humming choir. The worst came after opening the front door, when the full extent of the cacophonous terrorism revealed itself in an alien symphony. Why are there so many flies? Is it the plague? A gruesome masterpiece of thousands of voices buzzing through the streets. There were only a few summers in which the fly population was this high. That was before the spiders came. Spiders? Uh-oh. No spider. Spider, no spider. I don't even recall leaving the otter. As we get closer to the inner ring, the brick facades really give way to modern office buildings. Lars and I cross the road and dive into a narrow alleyway where the abyss is located. Lars is off to the bar. I sit and observe the DJ for a while, a dark-haired woman with an angry expression on her face. She's probably annoyed at having to work tonight. She's pretty rubbish at it too, considering that nobody's dancing. Lars returns with beer. The doorman lied to us. He said it was busy inside. Look at that grumpy DJ, I say, slurring my speech. Lars seems distracted. Hey, it's Anna, he remarks. Anna Mulder from the theater committee. She's got some girlfriends with her. Lars is pointing over at a group of women. They all seem to have the same shade of chestnut brown hair, though that could be due to the lighting. Met her once, I reply. She's cute. Let's go say hello. Flirting. We approach the girls, with Lars leading the way. I'm starting to see the world a little sharper again. Lars nudges Anna. This is Mr. Hoffman, he announces to the girls, pointing at me. You know him, right? Anna casts a glance in my direction. I don't think I do, she replies. How have you been doing, Lars? Saccharine beats pound into me, dragging me further out of my fatigue. My attention is grabbed by the girl standing next to Anna. She's short. On closer inspection, it appears her hair is slightly lighter than the others. Isn't her name Caroline, or Jasmine, maybe? She's majoring in anthropology, and she's also on the theater committee, if I recall correctly. There's something about the way her pointy nose protrudes above her fine upper lip. It's tender. Noble, almost. You're getting creepy, dude. You're getting creepy. Suddenly, she looks my way and smiles, though it's a tormented smile. She thinks I'm a creep staring at her like this. I avert my gaze. I take a sip of beer and hold the glass up to the light. The yellow liquid gently washes back and forth, evoking an impression of waving cornfields. Jasmine's a pretty girl. It'd be better if she didn't see me standing here by myself. I feel an urge to go outside. I lean over to interrupt Lars' conversation. Hey Lars, I'm calling it a night. This place closes in 10 minutes, he shouts back into my ear. Stay a little longer. Okay. Exactly 10 minutes later, I'm standing outside. The bus station is built slightly higher than the surrounding landscape, offering an intriguing view of the N723. In the distance, I can see a vast expanse of fields and wind turbines that lead all the way to the edge of the polder. Going into the abyss was a ridiculous waste of time. I try to recall how Lars talked me into it, but it's fuzzy. The stuffy air was the weak beer, the conceited voices. It may have started raining outside as the humming of the night seems to have grown slightly louder. What would Lars and Anna be doing at the moment? I think I have an idea of what they're doing right now. With my right hand, I softly stroke the empty seat beside me, the engines making a gurgling sound. The temperature's rising, and the swaying of the vehicle almost rocks me to sleep. Stripes drift over my retina. For a moment, I'm back in the club with Jasmine, the center of attention. I wake up, just in time for the Rybury stop. I take off my shoes at the bottom of the stairs, head upwards, enter my room, and place my shoes on the floor. Fall down on the bed. Before I drift away, I want to drink some water, but I'm growing drowsy again. To drink water later, set the alarm clock. Make it to the 3 o'clock lecture. The water nymphs left long ago. What? Yet still I heard a roaring of waves. I opened my eyes too. A rustling of field of corn and a cyanotype T. A cyanotype C. Oh my gosh. I can't move forward. What am I supposed to do? Oh! Oh, it's a choice. Ooh. You know what? Actually, I've been recording for about an hour now, so I'm gonna say I'm ending it here. Yeah. I guess put in the comments what you guys think I should choose next time. And I'll see all you guys in the next video. Bye.